Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back here with you guys for another show for our Gooner Talk podcast, the weekly show in which I am joined by two wonderful people round up the week's events, and I'm joined by two wonderful people. First off, it's been a while, but we've got Tomo back. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, really good. Good to...
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. And a very grainy all of a sudden. Not sure why. It's like you don't want to. It's like he's committed a crime. He's blurring his face out. How you doing, Webby?
Good. It's BT. What are you gonna do? Someone ring up BT and tell them they're not giving me enough internet. I don't know. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's few and far between nowadays. Everything's so busy, but it's nice to be back, and it's nice to be talking about the Arsenal.
Yeah, of course, we should say we are starting a little bit earlier tonight. I didn't actually put a tweet out, which is my fault. So this is going to be news to people that we're running this, and obviously the Liverpool game's on. So those that are in here are obviously very, very loyal listeners, and we appreciate all of you. Rob Red says, "Hope you're feeling better, Tom." I'm slightly better, not too great. I feel like Webby was ill the week before, and he gave it to me somehow over the airwaves. And so.
The old coronavirus, what are you going to do?
Oh, God. Avon, obviously one of our members, always in here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And the first thing we hear is that Webby is a criminal. Yes, the first thing that we mentioned on today's show, Webby is a criminal.
Oh, God. I don't get it. I don't know. What have I done? I do a lot of things.
And I've noticed a couple of our members are in here as well. Andy McDonald, thank you so much for tuning in. Hi, lads. Good morning from New Zealand. He should be working, but he's watching us. You've made the right choice, mate. You've made the right choice. Thank you for being here. Obviously, we are off the back of Arsenal winning. Tomo brought up the fact that he seems to only join us after Arsenal win. I think that's tactical more than anything. So, were you happy? How did you feel about yesterday's result? It was good, wasn't it? It was very, very nice.
For me, ultimately, 3 games in 7 days, we won. That's it. Like, there's nothing more. I don't want to over-analyze and be too critical of the players. I thought they really dug deep, and they got a result. And at this stage of the season, it's all we can ask for.
Yeah, you can't really say too much more. I mean, we can say a lot more, hopefully, for the next 40 minutes or so. Otherwise, we didn't have much of a podcast to do.
Right, see you later, guys. I'm off.
We're done. That's it. We're finished. But no, I think that it was. I felt quite nostalgic, Webby, because that feeling of absolutely bricking it, winning with the last few minutes to go, and you're like, and we're conceding chances, and we're backs against the wall. I haven't felt like that for ages. Like, I haven't felt like we're just scrapping onto a win for so long in the way that we were against Everton, against a decent side. Have you missed that feeling? Because I feel like we haven't had it for a while.
I've missed the feeling of winning, if that makes you feel. Yeah, do you know what? It was like every other game. The last decade, it's literally been. We were the bottle jobs, weren't we? We were such a good team, and we were winning games, but we were such bottle jobs. We always throw games away, but managed to get past it the other day somehow. I'm not even sure how when thinking back at some of the wasted chances, but that's football.
Yeah, it is. I'm loving these. People are telling us in the chat box what they should be doing right now. Afnan has a test in 2 hours, and instead he's watching us. What's the test on? Maybe we could run some revision. I mean, I'm a teacher, to be fair. I should be running some revision classes. But yeah, no, I mean, the way that that's a nice segue. The players have clearly been revising lots of stuff from what Arteta has been telling them to do on the training pitch, and we're seeing loads of that. Let's run through the lineup, actually. Tom, were you just surprised? I mean, Nketiah kept his place. That surprised me a little bit. And we saw Kolasinac coming for Saka as well. Anything else sort of pinch your fancy?
I think, first of all, Arteta is doing it for me, and definitely for the fans. You know, everyone I've been speaking to is really behind him. So, you know, as we used to say in Wenger, we trust. You know, in Mikel, we trust. You know, he's obviously seeing something on the training ground, and we're not really, you know, party to what's going on behind the scenes. We always knew with Wenger, you know, he had his favourites, so you could pretty much guess who was going to play in, week out. But with Arteta, I think he's just it's really high level, modern day man management. So whoever's fittest, whoever's training hardest, looking at 1 or 2 games ahead, and he's rotating the squad. And what I loved more than anything is actually seeing the players on the bench at the end of the 90 minutes, jumping up and celebrating, and that feeling which we have as fans is obviously, it's not just for the first 11, but it's throughout the entire squad. So now I've kind of given up trying to guess what lineup Arteta's going to go with these days. But for the moment, it seems to be working. Kolasinac obviously got injured. Saka came on and was brilliant, and we've obviously got a gem on our hands. Ceballos getting a start and playing his socks off, literally. Brilliant player, and Arteta's getting it right. I mean, he's obviously still early days as a manager, and he's made a few mistakes, maybe a little bit in the early days, but he's really, really growing into the job. The players are believing in him, and as long as 11 players are fully committed, I don't really mind who starts. At the moment, they're really doing the job.
They are 100%. On Nketiah, Webby, Andy McDonald says, how much potential do you think he has? I mean, he took a good chance yesterday. Hopefully he's learning lots from Alba.
How old is he? I don't know. How old is he? 18?
18, 19, 20?
I think he's a bit older. He's about 20.
He's 20? Let's have a look.
Is he?
Let's have a look.
Come on, have a look.
He's 20 years old. He turns 21 in May.
Wow. On the stage. On that stage, 20 years old. I can't remember what I was doing at 20 years old. Definitely wasn't on a stage like that.
It's in the place for that. This ain't that kind of talk, Webby. Let's just try.
Well, to turn up and take your chance. It's all about taking your chances, right? And he got given the opportunity. The manager had faith in him to go on and do the job. And he's up against some fierce competition. Lacazette is supposedly a top class striker. So I think he's got bags of potential, and he put himself in the right position at the right time. And he should have had 2 as well, to be honest. How he didn't score that one at the end, and he smacked it across the crossbar. I felt a bit gutted for him, because I did think he was going to get a second, and
it's almost as if he hit it too cleanly. No, he really leathered that one.
But when he hit it, I thought he was going in. It didn't drop. It didn't drop at all. It just carried on floating. And
he had a really hard job to try and chip it in the first place, because Pickford was right up to him. So
yeah.
He would. I mean, in hindsight, he would have probably wished he'd gone low rather than looping it, trying to go high. But I think he had a really good game. I think he had a fair game anyway. I didn't think he had a bad game, and he was clinical in the chance that he had, which was he had to score that at that moment. That got us back in it. Fair play to him. Yeah, the future is bright.
Yeah, no, it is 100%. I think that there was lots of performances on the pitch there, and there was a little bit of a negative tinge right at the beginning when Kolasinac had to go off. I know that we got to see Saka come on again and obviously put that ball in for Nketiah, but Tom, Saka's been playing a hell of a lot of minutes, like for us, in a position which isn't his own. He's making it his own at the moment, but it isn't the one that he's used to, and it's a position which demands a lot of running for our Arsenal side up and down that flank. He needs a rest, and he's not got that, and we still don't know when Tierney's going to be coming back in. Are you concerned of any possible burnout? We saw some negatives in his game, I thought.
No, I think at that age, he seems to be growing in every single game. So yeah, and I think maybe earlier on in the season, I noticed, in a couple of the Europa League games, and I think a game in the league, he really faded, around the 60th, 70th minute in games. But I think physically, he's actually starting to grow and impose himself. He's not really necessarily the quickest player, but, over 5-10 yards, I think he's got quicker. I think he's getting more confident. So, his stats for me are just going up week in, week out. So, yes, he's going to get tired, but I think, he's young, he's 18, he's going to recover quickly. He didn't play 20, 30 games at the beginning of the year. So yes, he's having a bit of a purple patch now, and he's playing a lot. but I feel as a young player, he's probably relishing it. He's on top form. So long may it continue.
100%, 100%. I do want this to be sort of, we were saying it last week, a little bit more chatty, and I think Webby, when we talk about people who chat a little bit too much, sometimes we look at players like Guendouzi. Obviously, he's been out of the fold a little bit, but the midfielders that have been playing, Ceballos and Xhaka, in that pivot in the league, last 2 games, I just feel have absolutely smashed it. And I can't really put my finger on what sort of changed for Ceballos, because he was thrown into the team in the Bournemouth FA Cup game for the last 20 minutes, and he did seem to bring something. But why do you think that Arteta has just made this sudden switch to take Torreira out of the limelight a bit in the pivot with Xhaka and put Ceballos in?
I think with both of them on the pitch at CDM, it comes across a bit negative. It can be a little bit too on the defensive side with both of them, with Torreira and Xhaka on the pitch. I think that Arteta naturally is an attacking type person. I think he likes to play creative, adventurous football. That's in his nature, because that's the kind of player that he was, and his mentor Pep is in the same sort of mindset. So I think he'll always magnetate towards playing more creative players than defensive players. I personally, I think Ceballos has had a couple of really good games. I actually didn't think he was one of the best players on the pitch the other day, although I think he had a good game. I don't think he had a brilliant game. I don't think that's his natural position, personally. I think he's very much more suited to a cam sort of role rather than a CDM role. And I don't know what's going to happen with Ozil. I don't know whether Ozil is staying, if he's going. But if Ceballos chooses to stay, I would see him moving up the pitch. I just don't see him staying there. Magnetate. Thanks, mate. Yeah, magnetate.
So I couldn't let it go. I'm sorry. No, I didn't want to interrupt your flow. But
if anyone watching wants to adjust my grammar or tell me that
it's the teacher in me.
Yeah, we're all learning. I learn stuff every day.
Mate, to be honest, this is the age of Donald Trump, so you can basically say what you want and just roll with it, mate. It's fine.
I know where you live, Tom. No, so no, honestly, I think he'll be playing further up the pitch. But I do like Torreira and Xhaka at the back at CDM. I think they're really, really solid. And Xhaka, for me, wow, what a turnaround that guy's done recently. I just his whole mentality, his form, the way kind of his spirit on the pitch is totally different to under Emery. It just goes to show how the kind of hole or rot that Emery had set in confidence. Yeah, they'd set in throughout the team. Really, it's a shame.
Yeah. I think that ultimately, I think we've sort of seen a system develop under Arteta that's really sort of put us in good stead now, and we're seeing a consistent system be delivered week on week. And not only that, I feel that sort of philosophy is being bled into the players throughout the squad, not just the players that are getting minutes week in, week out. So
yeah, I think I was going to say that I think Arteta's doing the maximum with what he's got. So I think we're going to have all these kind of, Ceballos in that position, Ozil kind of playing these key roles next year? Probably not. I think we could probably get an upgrade on both positions, and you never know. He could see us, switch to a more City kind of, formation with, a 6 and 2 false 8s. I don't know if we'll be playing a 10 next year, but literally we have to play a 10 because we have Ozil. So the whole team, rather than being, maybe in the future the team will be built around Pepe, maybe it'll be built around somebody else. But right now, we have to build the team around Ozil because he just has to get into this team somehow. So I think Arteta is good enough a coach, and he can motivate the players enough to just get it working for this season, and let's see where it goes. But I don't know if this is the template for the years going forward, because Ceballos, are we going to sign him? Not sure. Ozil, is he going to be a key figure next year? Maybe not, but definitely right now he is, and so is Ceballos. So I think he's just getting the most he can out of these players, and I do like to see positivity from our lineups, especially at home. And I think that's something we've been very guilty of in the past, of playing, a Torreira and Guendouzi or a Xhaka and Guendouzi in home games, and we're not really doing anything in the middle. So, and given that we have to win games at this point of the season, we've got to take it to teams. So I'm really, really happy with the lineup of what he's getting out of the players he's got at his disposal.
I do think something that I would put to everyone is a friend of mine mentioned to me today. He said that what we're going to do, where will Saka end up, and what's going to happen with Aubameyang, and we was discussing all these different faults, and I said that I can see or envisage Saka almost taking the path of like what Bale had. So he fought to break into the team. He was left back. He kind of made his way to left back because that's what the team wanted. But really, he was like an attacking person trying to get out. I think I see him just coming as the team grows, him going further and further up the pitch. I think he'll end up like a left winger. He really will. And he's got. I mean, Christ, you say about building the team around Ozil. Christ, Saka has got to be one of our most biggest shining lights in the team. Him and Martinelli. We just need to make sure that these guys are signed up for as long as they can and just keep them happy. And
I still can't get over the fact that he's 18. It's
sad, isn't it? He looks younger than that. He looks so young. Like, he's got such a baby face.
And you know what? There's one thing I watched there. Was it pre-season about him and some of the other players in the squad? I remember it was a video Arsenal media team put out with him and Willow. And if I'm not mistaken, he got straight A's and A stars in his GCSEs. And that. Yeah, and I thought that combination of having that athleticism, being a great footballer, but also being obviously in the top 5% or 1%, whatever, in terms of his intelligence, I think that also says a lot, because he's obviously applying himself technically. I'm not saying he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest player I've ever seen, but technically he's really just understanding the game of football and what needs to be done, where to put the ball, how to drop a shoulder, beat a man. And you saw what he did against Newcastle, against two senior pros. He's an 18-year-old, shouldn't be doing that, but he just understands how to put his body in the right place, in the right position. And maybe that's something that he got from Freddie, because Freddie wasn't ever the biggest and strongest guy, but the timing of his runs, he always made an impact because his head was in the game. And I feel like that's Bukayo Saka's best attribute. It's probably his brain, is his intelligence, because he's doing it technically on the pitch, and it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, I think that the most amazing thing, and you highlighted it about his age, is the fact that he's still got a lot of development to do. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. He'll become more developed. I think one of the weakest parts of his game is probably his strength up against some defenders right now. His skill and his technical ability enables him to take those players on with great effectiveness. But actually, when he develops and he grows, he will be able to take on those players, not just technically, but physically as well. And that will help him as he develops and improves. So I can't wait to sort of see. And we do desperately need to time down, because you're an idiot of a club if you're not monitoring the situation, because with only 12 months left in his deal, $3,000 a week, he's impressionable. He could be offered whatever to join plenty of clubs. So we need to time down. I know it's an absolute priority for the club. I know discussions are going on as we speak. It's just hopeful that he does sign that new deal. But
at what point do we get worried?
Now, if we're not worried now, it's a concern. The club should be worried now, because we've let players go in the past that we shouldn't have, or we just didn't give them enough of a chance. Like, we're giving Saka a chance. If we'd have given Jeffrey and Adelaide a chance, we might have seen the player that we're seeing smash in Liga at Lyon right now. Gnabry of a chance. We see the player that's going on at Bayern Munich right now. There is plenty of examples of players that are not getting the same opportunities. There are links that Emil Smith-Rowe could be off to RB Leipzig this summer, which could involve a swap deal with Upamecano, which would be quite nice. But he is an extremely highly valued talent at the club, and maybe that's something the club should start to prioritise. We were in a situation this season which was quite nice, although it began quite horribly, with the fact that we put ourselves in a position where it looks like the league wasn't on. It looked like the league was a done thing, and the Europa League was our best chance for silverware and to qualify for Champions League football. So that meant we could start bleeding in youngsters like Martinelli, like Saka. We're now in a situation where we are 4 points off of 5th place, 6 points off of the top 4. And I think it's 6, it might be 7. But we're in a position where the top 4 and Champions League is more realistic than we could have ever imagined 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. Webby, are you, with your mindset with these wins, and you notice on these podcasts, we don't go too much in terms of the game. We sort of pick out certain things and look ahead more because there's plenty of places you can go to pick apart performances analytically. But in terms of where this sort of puts us, are you growing in confidence that these draws that were beginning under Arteta are starting to turn into 3 points rather than 1? And do you think we have a much better chance than some of the other teams around us of maybe reaching that European glory?
We've definitely got a better chance than we have done. And we're definitely playing a lot better football. And defensively, I think it's remarkable how much improvement we've made with the same set of players, just under a different coach. And you could see that. Well, the best example that I can give of that is Everton just about to make it 3-3 yesterday, and then Aubameyang coming out of nowhere to make the defensive tackle to block that in the box when it was only a couple of minutes, a few seconds ago. He was basically right at the other end of the pitch. So we're really working as a defensive unit. I wouldn't put a bet on us getting Champions League football. I still think that although we're making massive strides and positives all over the place, I think there's the gap and the competition is too close to call. That being said, we're definitely in for a chance. I mean, I can't, off the top of my head, I don't know what our running's like on the fixture list. But we'll go through that in a sec. But you know, I've got to be honest. The way that I am at the moment as an Arsenal fan, opposed to other seasons, is I'm just living in the moment as it is. I was one of the few ambassadors of people that wanted Arteta to come in, and I'm just so thrilled with what's happening at the club as far as his management's concerned, and I just think that I'm happy to give them time, really, and I'm just happy to sit back and what I said to someone yesterday. I said, I've watched Arsenal deteriorate for a decade. The Invincibles was the height of, in my lifetime, what I can remember watching Arsenal play football. And that was the height of our success that I've watched. And I've gradually seen that just deteriorate year upon year upon year in one way, shape or form. And for the first time that I can remember, I think we're going up. We're starting to progress. We've hit the trough. We've hit the bottom. Emery, unfortunately, was the bottom we're going to go. And I can see us really starting to take off. And so, yeah, I'm just happy to see how it pans out. Champions League, to me, I'm not going to get really that. I'm not going to get that worked up over it. I'm not going to get that emotionally attached to a Champions League spot when, if I can see us doing better things, I'm content with that at the moment. That's how bad we was beginning of the season. For me to think like that, but it's
I think we have put ourselves in a ridiculous position compared to where we was. I actually, part of me can believe it because I know how bad some of the other teams have been this season, and they've allowed us stupidly to get back into this. but that is probably actually more down to the quality.
But also, it was last season as well. Huh? Remember, nobody wanted to get top 4 last season. Yeah, and this season is really a continuation of that.
So what we're going to do is, and you guys watching at home can play along as well, we are going to go through the rest of the Arsenal fixtures. We played 26 games, I believe. 26, maybe it's 27.
Yeah.
And
26
we've got
to go.
Yeah. So we've got plenty of games left. We've got 11 games left of the season, and we're going to go through each one. I'm going to write down the result that you think we're going to get, and then we're going to total up how many points that will put us on at the end of the season. So we start off. We won't do the cup games. Premier League wise, West Ham at home is the next one. Tomo, win, lose, or draw?
Win.
3. Webby. Webby. Webby.
You're muted, sorry. Win. Don't interrupt anyone speaking. Win.
And I'm going to go for a win as well. In the chat box, please play along. I'm going to shout some of you out as we do. Rob Red reckons that we will win that one. Next one is Brighton and Hove Albion, which is a horrible game, away. Tomo.
Win.
Webby.
Yeah, win.
I'm also going to say we're going to win. That's a horrible game, but they are on a bit of a dodgy patch of form, which means we'll lose. Southampton away. Webby.
Win.
Tomo.
Yeah, we struggle with them, but yeah.
I'm going to have a draw as well.
Negative bastards.
Southampton away is always dodgy.
Who's put loss?
Irfan reckons we're going to lose that one. Insert name says draw. Rob Red says draw for Southampton. We just have a bit of a bogey game against them, don't we? Norwich. What's that?
I've got 9 points so far. Win, win, win. This is easy.
You don't have 9 points. Norwich at home. Am I putting us all down for a win for that one?
We lost there 4-0 a few years ago. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but we didn't have Arteta then, did we? So what are we talking about?
Am I putting you all down for a win against Norwich?
Yeah.
Is that away? That's a home.
That's a home.
Yeah.
It's a home.
Oh, yeah.
Win.
Right, now toughie. Wolves away. Webby, Wolves away from home.
Lost.
Tomo.
On a Monday night, if I'm not mistaken, if we go through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League, which is
after that,
what's that? A Thursday, and then we play on a Monday. Oof.
Yeah.
I reckon that could be a loss.
I think it's going to be a loss as well, if I'm very honest. In the chat box, people are saying draw. Rob Red reckons draw. Irfan now turns around and says win. After saying we're going to lose against Southampton. I don't know what's going on, Irfan. I think you're going with the odd scores here. Leicester at home.
Oh, big. So that is on April the 17th. Let's have a look.
18th.
Draw.
18th, you're right, yeah.
Tomo?
Hold on, I'm just trying to see how many days we have.
I'm going to go with a win with that, and I think that's going to be one of those moments in the season where we say that Arteta really has done
Danny
something.
Welbeck?
Yeah, that Danny Welbeck thing, but they are tough. They are a really, really tough team, but I just feel like they'll look at the game we played against them earlier in the season where they absolutely played us off the park, and they'll want revenge from that.
I love the analysis Tom's going in. Tom's looking at the dates. He's looking at the date. He's looking at the kickoff time. I'm just amazed.
I'm looking at the weather forecast. See if the trains are on time on the day. You know,
Leicester win. It's going to be a southeasterly wind, so he's.
Mate,
well, you've not seen my charts. I'll bring the whiteboard out for the next one.
Just
I'm going to say Leicester. I'm going to say Leicester at home win, Tottenham away afterwards. Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
Tottenham away. Tottenham away, people in the chat. What do we think? Tottenham away, win.
It's got to be a win. Without Harry Kane and Son diving and cheating, I don't think they've got anything.
I feel like it's going to be a draw. I'm going to put win because I'm an optimist, but I feel like there'll be a draw because Mourinho's going to set up to just block everything. Just
without Son and Kane against us.
Webby. Loss.
Loss.
Oh.
VAR. I think VAR is going to win.
Yeah, Stephen reckons draw. Jeffrey Ebo reckons win. Greg reckons win. Avon thinks that Son and Kane will be back. I don't think they will be.
No.
They're apparently out for the season. Both will. Kane might make it back for the end of April, but he won't be match fit. Far from match fit.
And you know he always gets injured around this time of the year. When he does come back, he doesn't really kick on, does he? He needs a run of games. So I'm not fearful of him.
That is a horrible run of fixtures because we have Wolves away, Leicester at home, Tottenham away, and then Liverpool at home. What are we saying? Tom, did you say we would draw against Spurs or win?
No, win. Definite win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liverpool
confident.
at home. What do we think?
Win.
Oh, I love that,
Wester. And we're going to take their invincibility away from them and rub it in the
plate. That's a draw written all over it. 1-1.
Okay, draw. I think we're going to lose that, if I'm very, very honest.
What's up?
See, that by that they'll be fully focused on Champions League, assuming they go through.
Yeah,
Atleti. That's a big if, to be honest.
But there was a strong opportunity for the finish of the season away at Aston Villa. Aston Villa away. What are we saying? I think we're going to win that.
Why?
Saturday, 3 p.m. Good weather forecast.
We don't know if it's 3 p.m. yet. It could change.
True.
Could change.
Draw.
It's tough. Everyone in the chat box saying win.
I'm going for a win.
Oh, he reckons we'll draw against Liverpool. Greg reckons we'll win against. We'll lose against Villa. Wow.
He might amend that towards.
Maybe it's hard to keep up with the chat. I forget that sometimes they're a little bit behind us. It will depend on whether they're down by that point, says Avon, which is a fair point.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. That is.
What do you think?
I'm going for a win, absolutely.
Okay, and then Watford away is Watford at home. Sorry, is the last game of the season. I'm going to go for a win in that one.
I think it's Watford at home. It's not away.
Yeah, Watford at home. Yeah. So
Win.
What do we think, Tomo?
Win.
The wind blowing constellations. Where are they positioned? What do we think?
Yeah.
I'm going to go over win. Right. So let's add these up. So Webby, you've gone for 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 16, 17, 20. Tomo, you've got, this isn't to win, by the way, Webby, before you get excited, 7, 10, 16, 17, 23. And I've got 6, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22. So actually, Webby, ironically, you came last.
Weird, isn't it? Because at first I was really positive, and then
you was. But then you said we would lose.
It's Tottenham.
Draw against Tottenham, lose against Spurs, and draw against Aston Villa.
I just don't think you boys know football.
But I feel like Wenger reckoned. He said something, didn't he, about the points total? What did he say? Yeah, he set Arsenal points total. Wenger said that if we manage to get how many points? Come on. I'm not going to tell you what website I'm on because it's a horrific one. We have 26 games. After tomorrow's game, we have 33 points to go for. If you make 22 to 24. Now, Webby, the pessimist that he is, doesn't think we're going to achieve that.
So we have to get to you.
Atkinson reckons that West Ham 2-1 up. Yes, they are. West Ham are 2-1 up. Fair enough. I'm real.
Close the stream. Okay.
Yeah, West Ham 4-0.
Is that right? 45 points? That doesn't seem right to me.
So if I've got 23, that would mean we'd finish on 60, right?
Yeah, so if we are currently, I've gone off the Premier League table now. The Premier League table, we are currently, so what we could do, which we're not going to do because it would take forever, is go through the other team's fixtures. But if we have a look at the table, if it currently means we're sitting in ninth on 37. So we're currently on 37. I've got us down to finish on 59. You reckon 60. And Pessimist Webby reckons 57. Now, a top 4 finish on 57 points is unheard of. Am I right in thinking that? And what we would need to happen...
What do you normally get? What's average? What do you normally get for top 4? What do you need for top 4 normally?
I don't know. It's a really, really good question. I don't know if one of you two can
let me have a look at last year.
In terms of that, Chelsea currently sit in 4th on 44 points, right? So we need Chelsea to drop. Because, and I say 4th because I have a horrible, horrible feeling that Manchester City are going to get away with this thing. Like, I have a horrible feeling it's going to be postponed to at least next season. Yeah, a friend of mine I was chatting to the other day was saying that, and he's got like some lawyer friends, and he reckons they'll be able to get out of it for next season.
You heard it here first, everyone.
So,
Tom said they're getting off.
I mean, don't take my word for it, but I've just said a friend of mine who is a lawyer says that he reckons that City are going to get off.
My lawyer in animal welfare says that you're going to get off.
My animal welfare lawyer reckons that City are going to get absolutely dogged. But if that's the case, we need Chelsea to drop. Basically, Chelsea are only able to pick up, if we go with Tomo of 23 points, they're only able to pick up 17 more points from their possible 33. Can we really see Chelsea dropping that many points? Can we really see Chelsea dropping 16 points to the end of the season?
So just going back to last year, sorry, just to give you, so Chelsea in 3rd had 72, Tottenham in 4th had 71, Arsenal 5th, 70.
Oh, wow. We're miles off.
United in 6th with 66.
Can you imagine a team getting top 4 with only 57 points? That'd be unbelievable. That's the thing, is that Webby, what you're saying, if we go through the results that you've said and we end up on 57 points, to be in the top 4, which you said earlier on in the show, you reckon we could do. Just to remind you.
I think we could do it, but I wasn't pessimistic. Well, let's replay this. Like, I was fairly pessimistic on it. I actually said I didn't care anymore. I'm just happy with being positive.
But say if we do go with your 57, that means that Chelsea would need to drop like a ridiculous amount. Need to drop 20 points basically to match us. Are they going to drop 20 points? No, they're not going to drop 20 points, are they? It's just like the thing is with the position we're in now is that we're 7 points off that top 4. And if you look at Chelsea's form, they lost? No, did they lose the last game or they win the last game? They won, didn't they? They beat Spurs.
They beat Tottenham.
They beat Spurs. And they lost the game before. They drew the 2 before that, and they lost the game before that. And then you look at Man United's form. They've won the last 2, but then it was a draw and 2 losses. You look at Spurs' form, a loss and then 3 wins and a draw, but they look to be on the downturn after the RB Leipzig game. Sheffield United are having a bit of an iffy patch at the moment. They've won 2 of their last 5. Wolves have won 2 of their last 5 as well, and we've won 2 of our last 5, but we've been unbeaten in 2020. Even City have won 3 of their last 5, and Leicester have won 1 of their last 5. So it is the only reason why we've got this sort of sense that we might do something is that everyone else is horrific. And that's the only way that we can sort of get any hope from this. Let's get your...
So I was just going to say, I think we only get it if 5th counts. Surely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. So if 5th counts, Manchester United are on 41 points. We would need, if we wanted to be on 57, there's 33 points left to play. We would need Manchester United to drop from the next 33 points. Quick maths.
And if Liverpool and Leicester get banned, That
Well,
means
Liverpool or Leicester get banned.
7th are available, and we'll have an opportunity there as well. Well, I'm just saying that if everyone else gets banned, we've got more chance.
Well, who's to say that we haven't been dirty dealing under the table? Who's to say that we haven't?
That's right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Next season's Champions League is going to be Southampton, Norwich. Not even Norwich and Southampton. They probably spent a load. It's going to be Wickham. Adebayo Akinfenwa is going to be up top in the Champions League next season. That's unbelievable stuff. We are going to start rounding down now, which means that we come to our predictions. I know we've just done a hell of a lot of predictions towards the end of the season, which I hope you've enjoyed. But we've got 2 games coming up. We've got the second leg against Olympiacos, and then we've got the away FA Cup game against Portsmouth at Fratton Park. So, Tom, I'm going to come to you, mate. Could I get a scoreline for both of those games, please?
Olympiacos, I'm going to say 3-1 to the Arsenal. Portsmouth, I'm going to say 2-1.
2-1 to us. I hope that was. Webby.
Yeah.
Fabianski just made an amazing save.
Well, you start watching the football and get focused on this podcast.
I still love Fabianski. Like, I've still got a little soft spot for him. So I reckon 2-1 in the Champions League, in the Europa, and I reckon 2-0 versus Portsmouth.
Okay, I am going to go for Olympiacos 4-0.
Wow, Olympiacos, they're not going to beat us that bad.
We're going to get knocked out. And then Portsmouth, I think we're going to win 3-0 because I'm an optimist and an idiot. So,
what do you guys? So I was going to add maybe after you finish, but if it came down to it, if we had to prioritize at this point, League or Europa League?
Europa League. 100% Europa League. I look at
what
would
so Europa League or top 4? Is that what you're saying?
What would you prioritise?
Oh, Europa League. If you could give me one or the other, I'd take Europa League every day long. I'd silverware or a raffle, anything really. A lottery.
but what do you think is harder? Because I feel like we've done that for the last couple of years, and it's not really got us anywhere.
I think
we got top 4 for 10 years, and that didn't get us anywhere either.
I'm looking at the results of like the last round, and the teams that I thought were going to do well have struggled. I mean, Man United drew. I mean, do you know who worries me the most in the Europa League? Is Wolves. It's Wolves. They worry me more than they really do worry me. Rangers somehow came back from 2-0 down to beat Braga 3-2. Roma won just 1-0 in Genk, but AZ Alkmaar, who Drew was raving about, and fair play because they've been good, drew against Lask. Now, Lask are a decent Austrian side, I have to tell you. Sevilla drew away in Cluj. Benfica lost to Shakhtar. Ajax lost 2-0 to Getafe. Inter Milan came back 2-0 winners at Ludogorets. Man United drew against Club Brugge. Red Bull Salzburg got smashed, which I was gutted about, against Eintracht Frankfurt. Sporting came out 3-1 winners against Istanbul Başakşehir. And Basel won 3-0 in Apoel. So the teams that I thought were going to do well, like I thought Espanyol might have given Wolves a better game, but they didn't. I thought that Braga would come out better against Rangers, and they started off like it. I thought Ajax would do well. I thought Salzburg would do well. I thought Celtic might beat Copenhagen, but they didn't. I thought Man United was shoo-in to beat Club Brugge, even though they've been awful this season. And I think it is more open than we think. So I'm really interested to see. Before we wrap up, I did say I wanted to go through some of your predictions, which I probably missed now. Unfortunately, here we go. Mr. J said Olympiacos 3-0 and Portsmouth 3-1 win. He also reckons that the Europa League is a priority. Rob Red reckons only 5-0 to the Arsenal and Portsmouth 4-2 to the Arsenal as well. He also had updates to see things that Martinelli might be injured, which is a bit of a shame. I didn't know that, and I haven't heard about that. So if that's true, I'm not really sure where to go with it, because it's a big shame. It's a big knock. And he rounds it off by saying Getafe are strong, and they're not just strong in terms of their form. You should look at them week in, week out, because their manager gets them playing an absolutely ridiculous industrial style of football that you wouldn't want to play against if you're on the pitch, believe me. But we're going to wrap things up there. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. We're going to go away and watch West Ham, fingers crossed. I mean, those that have been watching...
Still 2-1. Yeah.
So fingers crossed, we're going to see West Ham beat them, but those watching on playback in the morning probably seen them lose. So that's all hopeful. Thank you, Tomo, though. Appreciate you coming on, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Good to be back. And let's hope those predictions come true. We could do it.
Yeah. 100%. Webby, pleasure as always. You're a big pessimist.
Yeah, that's unlike me, isn't it? I go and have a little word with myself. I don't know what's up with me. I thought I was being optimistic for a minute. Yeah. Turns out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for everyone in the chat and anyone watching. And I hope you have a good week.
Yeah, I would like to echo those thoughts. Thank you ever so much, everyone who has been tuning in whilst, of course, the game has been on, and for the weeks in which Love Island was on as well. We appreciate you turning away from that. I mean, I struggled. I really did. But if you would like to, as Rob Red says, please hit the like button. If you've enjoyed it, please subscribe. Please go follow the guys on Twitter. You can find Webby on Twitter at WebbyAFC182, I believe. And you can find Tomo at Quantum_King. I believe that's what it is as well. Tomo, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, all good.
So you can follow us on Twitter as well at the Gooner Talk TV. I'm sure you do already, of course. But thank you ever so much for tuning in. And we will see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.